Naomi Ellis stood in her Seattle apartment, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting golden streaks across the hardwood floor. The air smelled of lavender from the diffuser on her dresser, a calming ritual she'd adopted during the whirlwind of wedding planning. Her sage-green rehearsal dinner dress hung on the closet door, its silk shimmering like a promise. Tomorrow was the rehearsal at Willow Creek Vineyard, a sprawling estate just outside the city, where she'd marry Grayson Holt, the charismatic tech entrepreneur who'd swept her off her feet 2 years ago. Naomi folded a pair of delicate gold earrings into a velvet pouch, her fingers trembling slightly, not from excitement, but from something she couldn't name. She'd been ignoring the small cracks in their relationship, Grayson's late nights at his startup, his vague answers about work stress, the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. Love requires trust, she reminded herself, shoving the unease down. She zipped her suitcase and glanced at the mirror. Her chestnut curls framed a face that radiated determination, but her hazel eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. Her phone buzzed. A text from Olivia, her best friend and maid of honor. "You ready for your big moment, Queen? Vineyard's gonna be fire." Naomi smiled, typing back, "Born ready. See you tomorrow." But as she set the phone down, the unease crept back. She picked up her journal, a habit she'd kept since college, and scribbled, "Why do I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop?" Downstairs, her neighbor Mrs. Callahan was watering her geraniums. "Big day coming, Naomi," she called, her voice warm but prying. Naomi leaned out the window, forcing a grin. "Can't wait, Mrs. C. It's gonna be perfect." The older woman nodded, but her eyes lingered, as if she sensed something Naomi wasn't saying. Naomi closed the window and turned back to her suitcase. "It's just nerves," she thought. "Everyone feels this way before a wedding." But as she locked her apartment door and headed to her car, the lavender scent faded, replaced by the sharp tang of her own uncertainty. She drove toward the vineyard, the Seattle skyline shrinking in her rearview mirror, unaware that tomorrow would unravel everything she'd built. The vineyard was a postcard come to life, rolling hills, grapevines heavy with fruit, and a rustic barn glowing with string lights. Naomi arrived in her sage-green dress, its fabric hugging her curves like a second skin. She'd designed it herself, a nod to her side hustle as a freelance fashion designer. Guests mingled, clinking glasses of rose, their laughter blending with the soft jazz playing in the background. Naomi scanned the room for Grayson, her heart lifting at the thought of his arms around her. She spotted him near the bar, his dark hair catching the light, his navy suit tailored to perfection. He was laughing with his groomsmen, but his eyes didn't seek her out. Naomi adjusted her smile and approached, her heels clicking on the wooden floor. "Hey, stranger," she said, sliding her hand into his. Grayson turned, his smile brief. "Hey, you made it." His tone was warm but distracted, like he was addressing a colleague, not his fiancé. Naomi's stomach tightened, but she pushed it aside. "Of course I did. This is our night." He nodded, already turning back to his friends. "Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'll catch you in a bit, okay? Gotta make the rounds." He squeezed her hand and walked away, leaving her standing alone in a sea of guests. Olivia appeared at her side, her auburn hair swept into an elegant updo. "Okay, what was that?" she whispered, her green eyes narrowing. "He didn't even compliment your dress. You look like a goddess, and he's acting like your wallpaper." Naomi laughed, but it sounded hollow. "He's just nervous. Big weekend." She sipped her wine, the crisp taste doing little to soothe her. "Nervous?" Olivia scoffed, lowering her voice as a cousin passed by. "Naomi, I've seen nervous. That was cold. He's been weird for weeks. You're not imagining it." Naomi's smile faltered. She remembered the late-night texts Grayson claimed were work stuff, the way he'd brush off her questions about his new project lead, Tessa. "He's just stressed," she said, more to herself than Olivia. "His company's pitching to investors next week. It's a lot." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "You're too good for him, you know that? You planned this entire wedding, designed your own dress, and you're still making excuses for him. You're a saint." "Or a fool," Naomi muttered, half joking. Olivia's face softened, and she squeezed Naomi's arm. You're not a fool. You're in love. But if he doesn't see what he's got, she trailed off, her eyes flicking toward Grayson, who was now laughing loudly with a group across the room. Naomi followed her gaze, her heart sinking. He's fine, she told herself. I'm overthinking. Dinner began, and Grayson stood to give his speech. The room quieted, all eyes on him. Naomi leaned forward, expecting the warmth she'd fallen for, the Grayson who'd once written her poetry on napkins. Instead, his speech was polished, generic. To family, to friends, to new beginnings, he said, raising his glass. Thank you for being here to celebrate this moment. No mention of Naomi. No personal anecdote. No, I can't wait to marry the love of my life. Just nothing. The room clapped, but Naomi felt the silence in her chest. Olivia leaned over, her whisper sharp. That was colder than my ex's heart. He didn't even say your name. Naomi forced a smile, her fingers tightening around her glass. It's fine. He's not big on speeches. But as she looked at Grayson, now chatting with his brother, she felt a fracture she couldn't ignore. Her best wasn't enough. Not tonight. The barn doors swung open, and a hush fell over the room. Tessa Morgan stepped in, late and unapologetic, her red dress clinging to her like a second skin. Heads turned, whispers followed. She was Grayson's co-worker, the project lead he'd mentioned in passing, always with a quick change of subject. Naomi's eyes narrowed. Tessa's entrance wasn't just bold, it was calculated. Her dark hair cascaded in waves, her smile sharp as she scanned the room and locked eyes with Grayson. Naomi's stomach churned. She'd heard Tessa's name before, casual mentions of late-night meetings, brilliant ideas Grayson gushed about. But seeing her in person was different. Tessa moved with a confidence that bordered on arrogance, her heels clicking like a metronome. Olivia leaned in, her voice low. Who invited her? That's not a co-worker vibe. That's a problem. Naomi sipped her wine, forcing calm. She works with Grayson. It's normal to invite colleagues, right? Olivia snorted. Colleagues don't wear dresses that scream, "Look at me." She's trouble, Naomi. Trust me. Across the room, Grayson's face lit up as Tessa approached. He hugged her, a fraction too long, too warm. Naomi's grip on her glass tightened. They're just close from work, she said, but her voice wavered. Close. Olivia hissed. He's practically glowing. When's the last time he looked at you like that? Naomi didn't answer. She watched as Tessa laughed at something Grayson said, her hand brushing his arm. It wasn't overt, but it was deliberate. Naomi's mind raced, replaying every moment Grayson had dismissed her concerns. Tessa's just a colleague. You're being paranoid. But paranoia didn't feel like this, a cold, sharp certainty in her gut. Naomi, Olivia said, her tone softer now. You okay? Naomi nodded, but her eyes stayed on Grayson and Tessa. I'm fine. Just watching. Olivia followed her gaze. You're not fine. You're doing that thing where you pretend everything's okay when it's clearly not. Talk to me. Naomi set her glass down, her movements deliberate. I'm not making a scene tonight, Liv. Whatever this is, I'll handle it after the weekend. Olivia's eyes widened. After the weekend? Naomi, you're about to marry this guy. If he's... Stop! Naomi cut her off, her voice firm but quiet. I'm not blind. I see it. But I'm not going to fall apart in front of everyone. Let's just get through tonight. Olivia sighed but nodded. Okay. But I'm watching him. And her. Naomi forced a smile, but her eyes drifted back to Grayson. He was still with Tessa, their heads bent close, his laugh louder than it had been all night. The fracture in her heart widened, but she straightened her spine. Not tonight, she thought. But soon. Naomi excused herself from the table, her head spinning. She needed air, needed to escape the weight of eyes. Grayson's, Tessa's, even Olivia's. She slipped outside, the cool evening air a relief against her flushed skin. The vineyard stretched out before her, rows of grapevines disappearing into the dusk. She leaned against a wooden post, closing her eyes, trying to silence the noise in her head. Olivia followed, her heels crunching on the gravel. "You sure you're okay? You look like you're about to bolt." Naomi opened her eyes, managing a weak smile. "I'm not bolting. Just a processing." "Processing what?" "That your fiancé's acting like he's at a singles mixer." Olivia's voice was sharp, but her eyes were soft with concern. "Naomi, I'm not trying to stress you out, but this isn't normal. You deserve better than this." Naomi looked away, her gaze settling on the barn's glowing windows. Inside, she could see Grayson and Tessa near the bar, their conversation animated. Tessa's hand was on his arm again, her laugh carrying through the open door. Naomi's chest tightened. "I know," she said quietly. "I've known for a while. I just didn't want to admit it." Olivia's face softened. "Then why are you still here? You don't have to go through with this." Naomi shook her head. "It's not that simple. I've invested everything. Time, money, my heart. I put $50,000 into his company, Liv. I believed in him. In us." Olivia's jaw dropped. "You invested what?" "Naomi, you didn't tell me that." "I didn't tell anyone," Naomi admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "It was supposed to be our future. His startup was struggling, and I wanted to help. I thought—" She trailed off, her eyes stinging. "I thought it would make us stronger." Olivia pulled her into a hug. "Oh, honey. You're not just losing a fiancé. You're losing a dream. But you don't have to lose yourself." Naomi pulled back, wiping her eyes before tears could fall. "I'm not. I just need to get through tomorrow. Then I'll figure it out." As they turned to head back inside, Naomi froze. Grayson and Tessa were outside now, standing under a string of lights, their voices low but intense. Tessa's hand was on his chest, her smile intimate. Grayson wasn't pulling away. Naomi's heart pounded, but she stepped back into the shadows, pulling Olivia with her. "What the hell?" Olivia whispered, her voice venomous. "I'm going over there right now and—" "No," Naomi said, her voice steel. "Not yet. Let them think they're getting away with it." Olivia stared at her. "You're scary calm right now. What's going on in that head of yours?" Naomi's eyes didn't leave Grayson and Tessa. "I'm remembering who I am," she said softly, "and what I'm capable of." The next evening, the vineyard was transformed. White chairs lined a makeshift aisle, fairy lights twinkled against the dusk, and a floral arch framed the spot where Naomi and Grayson would practice their vows. Naomi walked down the aisle, her arm linked with Jordan's, her brother's best friend who was standing in for her late father. Her rehearsal dress, a simple ivory sheath she'd designed, was elegant, understated, perfect. Jordan squeezed her arm, his voice low. "You're killing it, Naomi. You look like you were born for this." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Thanks, Jordan. Just get me through this without tripping." He chuckled. "Deal. But for the record, you've got this. All of it." The rehearsal proceeded smoothly, the officiant guiding them through the motions. Naomi stood across from Grayson, searching his face for the man she'd fallen in love with. He was there, physically, his suit crisp, his smile practiced, but his eyes were distant. Tessa stood off to the side, her red dress swapped for a black one, but her presence still screamed for attention. As the officiant said, "And now, you may kiss your bride," Naomi leaned in, expecting a quick, rehearsed peck. Instead, Grayson turned, grabbed Tessa from the sidelines, and kissed her. Not a playful, joking kiss. A deep, passionate one, his hands cupping her face, her body melting into his. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath that sucked the air from the room. Olivia's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with fury. Jordan tensed beside Naomi, his voice a low growl. "What the hell?" Naomi froze, her heart a drumbeat in her chest. Time slowed. She saw every detail: Tessa's smug smile as she pulled back, Grayson's arrogant grin, the shocked faces of their families. She felt the weight of every eye on her, waiting for her to crumble. Grayson met her gaze, his expression almost daring her to break. But Naomi didn't break. She straightened, her face a mask of calm. She reached into her clutch, her movements deliberate, and pulled out a small black envelope. The crowd was silent, the air thick with anticipation. She stepped forward, her heels steady on the grass, and placed the envelope in Grayson's hand. "You'll want to read this before Monday," she said, her voice clear, unshaken. Grayson's grin faltered, his fingers closing around the envelope. "Naomi, what?" She turned, her dress catching the light as she walked away, head high, never looking back. Olivia rushed to her side, whispering, "What was that?" Naomi's lips curved, not in a smile, but in something fiercer. "That," she said, "was the end of his world." The vineyard was frozen in a stunned hush, the fairy lights casting an ethereal glow over the shocked faces of family and friends. Naomi's ivory dress shimmered as she stood before Grayson, her hand steady as she pressed the black envelope into his palm. His fingers closed around it, his arrogant smirk faltering for the first time. "You'll want to read this before Monday," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade, calm but laced with a quiet fury that made the air crackle. Grayson's eyes widened, searching her face for a crack in her composure, but Naomi's expression was unreadable, a fortress of resolve. Tessa, still flushed from the kiss, stepped back, her black dress clinging to her frame, her confidence wavering under the weight of every stare. The crowd murmured, a low hum of disbelief. Olivia, standing near the floral arch, clutched her phone, her knuckles white, her eyes blazing with a mix of pride and rage. Jordan, Naomi's escort, took a step forward, his jaw tight. "Naomi," he said under his breath, "you sure about this?" Naomi didn't look at him. Her gaze was locked on Grayson, who was now staring at the envelope like it was a live grenade. "I've never been more sure," she said, her voice low but firm, meant only for Jordan. She turned, her heels sinking slightly into the grass, and walked down the aisle she'd just rehearsed, her head high, her steps deliberate. The crowd parted, their whispers growing louder, a chorus of shock and admiration. Grayson's voice broke the silence. "Naomi, wait. What is this?" He held up the envelope, his tone a mix of confusion and defiance, as if he could still control the narrative. She paused, just for a moment, her back to him. Without turning, she said, "It's your future, Grayson. Or what's left of it." The words landed like a thunderclap, and she kept walking, her silhouette framed by the vineyard's golden lights. Inside the envelope was no tear-stained letter, no plea for reconciliation. It was a termination clause, meticulously drafted by Naomi's lawyer months ago when she'd invested $50,000 in Grayson's startup. The document outlined her withdrawal of all funding, her claim to 40% equity, and a clause triggering his immediate buyout if he breached their personal or professional trust. The final line read, "You lost your investor and your fiancé in one kiss." It was a kill shot, delivered with the precision of a woman who'd been underestimated one too many times. Olivia caught up to Naomi outside the barn, her voice trembling with excitement. "Naomi, that was iconic. What was in that envelope? Tell me it's as bad as his face says it is." Naomi's lips curved into a faint, fierce smile. "It's worse," she said, her hazel eyes glinting in the dusk. "He thought I'd cry. Instead, I just took his company." Olivia's jaw dropped, then she laughed, a sharp, triumphant sound. "You're a damn legend. He's gonna regret that kiss for the rest of his life." Naomi didn't laugh. She looked back at the barn, where Grayson was now surrounded by his groomsmen, his face pale as he tore open the envelope. Tessa hovered nearby, her earlier swagger gone, replaced by a nervous fidgeting. Naomi's heart was still racing, but it wasn't from pain, it was from power. "Let's go, Liv," she said. "I'm done here." As they walked to her car, the vineyard's gravel crunching underfoot, Naomi felt the weight of the night lift. She wasn't the broken fiancé. She was the architect of her own reckoning. By 7 a.m. the next morning, Naomi's world had exploded. Her phone vibrated relentlessly on her nightstand, a cascade of notifications lighting up the screen. She'd barely slept, her mind replaying the rehearsal kiss, her walk away, the envelope. She reached for her phone, bleary-eyed, and saw Olivia's text, "You're trending. Everywhere. Check X." Naomi opened the app, and her breath caught. A video, posted by a bridesmaid named Sarah, had gone viral. 4.2 million views in 12 hours. The clip showed Grayson's kiss with Tessa, the crowd's gasp, and Naomi's calm, deliberate delivery of the black envelope. The caption read, "This queen didn't break, she broke him." The comments were a wildfire. "The Ice Queen strikes. She handed him his entire downfall. CEO of knowing her worth." Naomi scrolled, her heart pounding. Talk show producers, podcast hosts, even a literary agent had slid into her DMs. "Naomi Ellis, you're a story," one message read. "Let's talk book deal." Another, "Good Morning America wants you. Call us." She set the phone down, her hands trembling, not from fear, but from the surreal weight of it all. Olivia burst into her apartment, coffee in hand, her auburn hair a mess. "Naomi, you're a freaking legend," she shouted, kicking the door shut. "Have you seen the comments? They're calling you the Rehearsal Avenger. Grayson's getting dragged to hell and back." Naomi leaned against her kitchen counter, still in her pajamas, her chestnut curls tangled from tossing all night. "I didn't expect this," she admitted, her voice quiet. "I just wanted to walk away with my dignity." "Dignity." Olivia laughed, setting the coffee down. "You walked away with his soul. That envelope, what was in it? You didn't tell me last night." Naomi sipped her coffee, the warmth grounding her. "It's a termination clause. I invested in his company last year, but I wasn't stupid. I had my lawyer add a trust clause. He betrayed me, so I'm pulling my funding and claiming 40% of his startup. He's got until Monday to buy me out, or he's done." Olivia's eyes widened, then she clapped, slow and dramatic. "You're a genius. A cold-blooded, brilliant genius. He thought you'd cry, and you hit him where it hurts, his wallet." Naomi's smile was faint, but her eyes were fierce. "He underestimated me. They both did." Olivia pulled out her phone, scrolling through X. "Listen to this one. She didn't burn the dress, she burned the whole chapel." And this, Tessa deleted her account already. "Run, girl, run." She looked up, grinning. "You're not just viral, Naomi. You're a movement." Naomi shook her head, overwhelmed. "I don't want to be a movement. I just want to move on." Olivia's face softened. "You will. But right now, the world's watching. What's your next move?" Naomi looked out her window, the Seattle skyline hazy in the morning light. "I don't know," she said. "But I'm not hiding. Not anymore." Naomi sat at her desk, her laptop open, the viral video still playing on mute in the background. She hadn't responded to any messages. Not the media, not the agents, not even her family. Her aunt had left a voicemail, furious. "Naomi, how could you humiliate him like that?" Her mom's text was simpler. "I'm proud of you. Call when you're ready." Naomi wasn't ready. Not yet. Instead, she opened a blank document and started typing. Not about Grayson or Tessa, but about herself. Her pain. Her power. Her rebirth. She titled it The Reset Project and began outlining a community for women who'd been betrayed, gaslit, or underestimated. Not a revenge platform, but a space to rebuild. To reset. She posted a single Instagram story, a photo of her journal, open to a page that read, "You don't need their permission to rise." The caption, "The Reset Project. Coming soon. For us." Within minutes, her followers doubled. Women flooded her DMs with stories of their own, cheating partners, broken promises, silenced instincts. "You gave me courage," one wrote. "I left him last night," said another. Olivia called, her voice crackling with excitement. "Naomi, your story's at 10 million views now. And the Reset Project? It's trending. You're not just a moment. You're a whole damn era. Naomi laughed, the first real laugh in days. I didn't plan this, Liv. I couldn't let him win. You didn't just stop him from winning, Olivia said. You rewrote the game. But seriously, what's next? You've got the world's attention. Naomi leaned back, her eyes on the journal. I'm not dragging him online. That's not me. I want to build something real, something that helps women like me. Olivia paused, then said, You're different, you know that? Most people would be screaming his name from the rooftops, but you're classy. It's infuriatingly inspiring. Naomi smiled. I'm not classy. I'm strategic. He'll destroy himself. I don't need to. As she hung up, her phone buzzed again. A DM from a stranger. I saw your story. I'm starting over too. Thank you. Naomi's chest tightened, not with pain, but with purpose. The rehearsal kiss wasn't her end. It was her beginning. By noon, the internet was a battlefield. Grayson's startup, Whole Tech, was hemorrhaging investors. X-posts revealed 2 major backers had pulled out, citing instability in leadership. Tessa's name was trending too, old posts resurfacing about her close relationships with other co-workers, one allegedly married. Naomi sat on her couch, scrolling through the chaos, her coffee cold. She wasn't surprised. She'd known about Tessa's reputation, whispers Grayson had dismissed as gossip. But she'd done her homework, quietly, weeks ago. Olivia burst in again, this time with bagels. Okay, update. Grayson tried to call you, but you blocked him, right? Good. Because he's spiraling. Posted some cryptic nonsense about learning from mistakes. And Tessa? Her ex is gone. Poof. Naomi raised an eyebrow, spreading cream cheese on a bagel. She deleted it? Yup, Olivia said, flopping onto the couch. Couldn't handle the heat. People found her old posts, real shady stuff. She's done. Naomi took a bite, chewing thoughtfully. I'm not celebrating. I just want to move forward. Olivia stared at her. You're too calm. It's freaking me out. What's in your head? Naomi set the bagel down, her eyes distant. I knew, Liv. Weeks ago, I saw the texts. The late nights. I didn't want to believe it, so I planned instead. That envelope? I had it ready for a month. Just in case. Olivia's mouth fell open. You're kidding. You've been playing chess while he was playing, what, checkers? More like tic-tac-toe, Naomi said, a wry smile breaking through. He thought I'd beg. Instead, I protected myself. Olivia leaned forward, her voice serious. You're not just protecting yourself. You're rewriting the rules. But be careful. Grayson's not done. He's too arrogant to go quietly. Naomi nodded, her eyes on the city skyline. Let him try. I'm ready. That night, Naomi sat at her desk, the glow of her laptop the only light in her apartment. The viral storm hadn't slowed, her phone buzzed with notifications, but she ignored them. Instead, she opened a new document and began typing a letter to Grayson. Not to send, but to release. Dear Grayson, she wrote, thank you for showing me who you are before I said, I do. You thought I'd break, but I was already building. The late nights, the lies, the gaslighting. You dressed it up as love, but it was control. I see it now. You lost me, but I found myself. She listed the red flags, his vague excuses, his dismissal of her instincts, the way he'd made her feel small. You thought I'd beg for scraps, she wrote. Instead, I've built my own table. She didn't plan to mail it. Instead, she posted it anonymously on her blog, titled To the One Who Betrayed Me. By morning, it had 500,000 views. Celebrities shared it. Therapists praised it. Women commented, this is my story too. You gave me words for my pain. Olivia called at 8 a.m., her voice giddy. Naomi, your letters everywhere. Reese Witherspoon retweeted it. You didn't even name him, and it's still a takedown. How do you do this? Naomi laughed, stirring her tea. I didn't do it for him. I did it for me. And for every woman who's been through this, Olivia added. You're not just a story, Naomi. You're a mirror. Naomi looked at her journal, open to the words she'd written last night. You don't need their permission to rise. She smiled. Then let's keep rising. Naomi sat at a corner table in the Daily Grind, a cozy cafe tucked away in Seattle's Fremont district. The air smelled of freshly ground coffee and warm croissants, and sunlight filtered through the window, casting soft patterns on the wooden table. Jordan, her brother's best friend and the stand-in for her late father at the rehearsal, had insisted on breakfast, texting her at dawn, "You need to eat." My treat. 9 a.m. Naomi had hesitated. She wasn't ready for pity or pep talks, but Jordan's quiet steadiness was hard to refuse. She wore a simple white sweater and jeans, her chestnut curls pulled into a loose bun, her face bare of makeup. She didn't want to be the rehearsal Avenger today, just Naomi. Jordan walked in, his tall frame filling the doorway, his dark eyes warm as he spotted her. He slid into the seat across from her, setting down 2 steaming lattes. You look like you haven't slept in a week, he said, his tone teasing but gentle. Naomi managed a half-smile, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. Thanks for the compliment. You're looking annoyingly well-rested. He chuckled, leaning back, his flannel shirt rolled up to reveal forearms dusted with freckles. Perks of owning a cafe. I live on caffeine. But seriously, Naomi, how you holding up? The internet's calling you a superhero, but you don't have to be one here. She sipped her latte, the creamy warmth soothing her raw nerves. I don't feel like a superhero. I feel exposed. Like everyone's waiting for me to cry or scream or do something dramatic. Jordan's eyes softened, but he didn't push. You don't owe them a performance. You did what you did at the rehearsal because you had to, not for them. Naomi looked at him, really looked, for the first time in days. Jordan had always been there, quiet, steady, the guy who'd carried her father's casket, who'd made her laugh at her brother's birthday parties. He'd seen her at her worst and never flinched. Why'd you ask me here, Jordan? She asked, her voice soft but direct. You could have just texted. He leaned forward, his hands clasped on the table. Because I know you, Naomi. You're strong as hell, but you're carrying this alone. You don't have to. And... He hesitated, his eyes searching hers. I saw you walk away that night. I saw what it took. I just wanted you to know you're not invisible. Naomi's throat tightened. She looked down, tracing the rim of her mug. I keep replaying it, she admitted. Not the kiss. The moment I handed him the envelope. I thought I'd feel free. But I just feel heavy. Jordan reached across the table, pressing a small note into her hand. Read this later, he said. It's not a fix. Just a reminder. She unfolded it later, alone in her car. It read, Healing isn't about them. It's about you. She pressed it to her chest, her eyes stinging, and for the first time in days, she felt seen, not as a viral icon, but as herself. Naomi was back in her apartment, the Seattle skyline gray and misty beyond her window. Her phone buzzed with a new DM, and she froze when she saw the sender. Tessa Morgan. The message was short but loaded. I didn't plan for it to happen like that. I didn't know he was still with you. He told me you were done. Naomi stared at the screen, her pulse quickening. The audacity of Tessa reaching out, after that kiss, after the viral storm, was almost laughable. She clicked on Tessa's profile and found a series of cryptic Instagram stories. Subtle jabs about bitter exes and jealous women who can't move on. Naomi's jaw tightened. She screenshot each one, her fingers steady, her mind racing. Olivia burst in, clutching a smoothie and her phone. Tell me you saw Tessa's message, she said, her green eyes blazing. She's got some nerve, playing victim after that stunt. Naomi set her phone down, her expression calm but her eyes fierce. I saw it. She's spiraling. Those stories. She's trying to rewrite the narrative. Olivia flopped onto the couch, scrolling through her own phone. Oh, she's worse than that. Look at this. She held up a screenshot of Tessa's latest story, a black and white photo of a wine glass with the caption, "Some people can't handle the truth." Olivia snorted. The truth? She kissed your fiancé in front of everyone. Naomi leaned back, her arms crossed. She wants a reaction. She wants me to clap back, make it a fight. But I'm not playing her game. Olivia's eyes widened. You're not responding? At all? Naomi, people are eating this up. They'd love to see you drag her. Naomi shook her head, her voice steady. Silence is louder, Liv. Responding gives her power. Ignoring her takes it away. Olivia stared, then grinned. You're scary good at this. But what if she keeps pushing? Her stories are getting bolder. Naomi's lips curved into a faint, calculated smile. Let her. The internet's already doing the work. Did you see her follower count? Down 10,000 since yesterday. She's sinking herself. Olivia laughed, raising her smoothie in a mock toast. To Tessa's downfall and your mastermind brain. Naomi clinked her coffee mug against it, but her mind was elsewhere. Tessa's message wasn't an apology, it was a taunt. And Naomi wasn't falling for it. She opened her laptop and added a new line to the Reset Project's mission statement. We don't fight fire with fire. We build with it. Naomi's inbox was a war zone, hundreds of emails from journalists, influencers, and strangers. One stood out, an invitation from The Breakout, a podcast hosted by Lena Carter, a former divorce attorney turned empowerment guru. The subject line read, Your story deserves a voice. Let's talk. Naomi hesitated. She'd avoided the spotlight, letting the Reset Project speak for her. But Lena's message was different. No drama, no gossip. Just your truth. Naomi called Olivia to strategize. They want me on The Breakout, she said, pacing her apartment. But I don't want to talk about Grayson or Tessa. I want to talk about us. Women like me. Olivia's voice crackled through the phone. Do it. Lena's legit. She doesn't do clickbait. But you gotta set boundaries. No naming names. No sob story. You're not a victim. Naomi nodded, though Olivia couldn't see. Exactly. I told them one condition. We focus on healing, not heartbreak. 2 days later, Naomi sat in a sleek podcast studio, a microphone clipped to her sweater. Lena, a warm woman with sharp eyes and a silver bob, leaned forward. Naomi, your story's everywhere. But I want to know, what's the one thing you wish you'd known before that rehearsal? Naomi took a breath, her voice steady but raw. That love shouldn't feel like panic. I ignored my gut for months because I wanted to believe in him. But real love? It's peace. It's trust. And I'm learning to give that to myself first. Lena nodded, her eyes gleaming with respect. That's powerful. You didn't just walk away, you walked toward something. Tell us about the Reset Project. Naomi's face lit up. It's for women who've been betrayed, underestimated, or silenced. It's not about revenge, it's about rebuilding. We share stories, resources, tools to reset your life on your terms. The episode aired the next day, and clips went viral. Ex-posts praised her poise. She didn't drag anyone. She just rose. This is how you handle betrayal with class. Lena ended the episode with a line that trended for days. Naomi didn't lose her wedding. She found her worth. Grayson's attempt at damage control was a disaster. He posted a shaky video on X, his usually polished appearance gone, hair disheveled, eyes bloodshot. I made a mistake, he said, his voice cracking. Love made me act irrationally. I've lost everything, but I'm learning. The comments were brutal. Love? You mean ego. Lost everything? Good. Naomi watched it once, her face blank, then closed her laptop. Olivia was at her apartment, scrolling through the fallout. He's tanking, Naomi. 2 more investors pulled out. His COO quit. And Tessa? She unfollowed him. It's a circus. Naomi sat cross-legged on her couch, a mug of tea in her hands. He's not my problem anymore, she said, her voice calm but firm. He made his choice. Olivia looked up, her eyes narrowing. You're not even a little tempted to respond? He's out here playing victim. Naomi shook her head. What's the point? He's already losing. I don't need to push him off the cliff, he's jumping. Olivia grinned. You're cold, and I love it. But seriously, how are you so chill? I'd be screaming from the rooftops. Naomi's smile was faint but fierce. I screamed when I wrote that envelope. Now, I'm building something better. Her phone buzzed, a text from Jordan, saw his video. You okay? She typed back, better than okay. Thanks for checking in. She set the phone down, her heart lighter. Grayson's apology wasn't for her, it was for him. And she didn't owe him a response. Naomi's inbox pinged with an email from Solara, a luxury jewelry brand known for minimalist designs. The subject, the Reclaim line, a collaboration. They wanted her to design a collection of rings, not for engagements, but for empowerment. The pitch was bold. Rings that say, I choose me. Naomi read it twice, her pulse quickening. This wasn't just an offer, it was a chance to redefine her legacy. She called Olivia, who answered on the first ring. Please tell me you're doing this, Olivia said, her voice vibrating with excitement. A jewelry line? Naomi, this is huge. Naomi paced her apartment, the email open on her laptop. It's tempting, but it's a lot. What if it flops? What if people think I'm cashing in on the drama? Olivia laughed. Cashing in? You're not selling gossip, you're selling strength. People love you because you didn't break. Do this. Make those rings iconic. Naomi spent the night sketching designs, simple bands with engraved words like rise, own, and enough. The tagline came to her at 2 a.m., put a ring on your own damn finger. She emailed Solara her concepts, and by morning, they greenlit the project. Pre-orders launched a week later and sold out in 48 hours. Naomi donated 20% of proceeds to women's shelters, a move that trended with #ReclaimLine. Olivia texted her a screenshot of the sold-out page. You're not just a queen, you're a dynasty. Naomi smiled, her fingers tracing one of her sketches. She wasn't just rebuilding her life, she was redefining what it meant to win. Naomi stood in her Seattle apartment, the morning light filtering through her window, casting a soft glow on the stack of mail she'd ignored for days. Amid the usual bills and junk, a plain white envelope caught her eye. No return address, just her name in neat, typed letters. She slid it open, her fingers steady but her heart uneasy. Inside was a single page, the words raw and piercing, I wish I had your courage. I married my Grayson. I regret it every day. I'm trapped, but your story gives me hope. Thank you. Another Naomi. The letter hit her like a wave, pulling her back to the vineyard, to the moment she handed Grayson the black envelope. She read it again, her hazel eyes tracing each word, her chest tightening with a mix of empathy and resolve. She'd started the Reset project to heal herself, but this letter showed her something bigger. Her story was a lifeline for others. She tucked the letter into her journal, its weight anchoring her purpose. Olivia burst in, her auburn hair a mess, a coffee cup in one hand and her phone in the other. Naomi, your Reclaim line is still sold out, and X is losing it over your podcast episode. You're a movement. She paused, noticing Naomi's expression. What's that look? You okay? Naomi handed her the letter, her voice quiet. Read this. Olivia scanned it, her eyes widening. Whoa, this is heavy. She's you, but she didn't walk away. Naomi nodded, sinking onto the couch. Exactly. I keep thinking about her. She's stuck, Liv. I got out, but she didn't. I can't stop thinking about what I could have become. Olivia sat beside her, her voice softer. You didn't just get out. You built something. This letter. It's proof you're reaching people who feel invisible. What are you gonna do with it? Naomi's gaze drifted to her laptop, where the Reset Project's website was open, its follower count climbing past 50,000. I'm writing back, she said, her voice steady. Not to her directly. I don't know who she is. But to everyone like her. That night, Naomi posted a blog entry titled, "It's Never Too Late to Leave." She wrote about her mother, who'd left a cheating husband with 2 kids and a suitcase, rebuilding from nothing. She wrote about the red flags she'd ignored with Grayson, the gut instincts she'd silenced. You don't need permission to save yourself, she wrote. Your worth isn't tied to their promises. The post went live at midnight. By morning, it had 2 million reads, shared by women across the globe. Comments poured in, "This is my story. You gave me strength to leave." Olivia called, her voice giddy. Naomi, your blog crashed the server. 2 million reads. You're changing lives. Naomi smiled, but her heart was with the anonymous woman. I just hope she sees it, she said. I hope she knows she's not alone. The conference room at the Seattle Women's Summit was buzzing, packed with CEOs, influencers, and activists. Naomi stood backstage, her palms sweaty, her navy blazer tailored to perfection. She'd been invited to speak on a panel about empowerment, alongside women twice her age with decades of experience. At 28, she felt like an imposter, her viral moment a fluke compared to their resumes. But the organizer had insisted, your story resonates. People need to hear you. She adjusted her earpiece, catching her reflection in a nearby mirror. Her chestnut curls were sleek, her hazel eyes steady but nervous. Olivia, in the front row, gave her a thumbs-up, mouthing, You've got this. The moderator, a sharp-witted journalist named Priya, introduced her. Naomi Ellis, founder of the Reset Project, turned a personal betrayal into a global movement. Let's hear her story. The crowd applauded, and Naomi stepped to the podium, her heart pounding. Priya leaned forward, her voice warm but probing. Naomi, your story started with a very public moment at your wedding rehearsal. How did you channel that pain into something so powerful? Naomi took a breath, her voice clear. I didn't plan to be here. I planned a wedding. But when that fell apart, I realized something. Pain is a teacher. It showed me what I was capable of. The Reset Project isn't about what happened to me, it's about what we can build after. The room was silent, every eye on her. A woman in the audience, her face lined with experience, asked, How do you stay strong when the world's watching? I'm trying to leave my own Grayson, but I'm scared. Naomi's throat tightened, the anonymous letter flashing in her mind. You're allowed to be scared, she said. I was too. But strength isn't about not feeling fear, it's about walking through it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to take one step. The woman nodded, tears in her eyes, and the crowd erupted in applause. Priya smiled. You've said we're not bitter, we're better. What does that mean to you? Naomi's eyes sparkled with conviction. It means we're not defined by their mistakes. We're building new blueprints, for love, for life, for ourselves. The room rose to its feet, the ovation echoing in her chest. Backstage, Olivia hugged her, whispering, You didn't just speak. You preached. Naomi laughed, her tension easing. I was shaking the whole time. Didn't show, Olivia said, grinning. You're a force, Naomi. Get used to it. The gallery was a sleek, modern space in Capitol Hill, its white walls lined with black and white photographs. Jordan had invited Naomi to his first solo exhibit, a collection of images titled Resilience. She arrived in a simple black dress, her hair loose, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. The room buzzed with art critics, friends, and strangers, but Jordan's presence grounded her. He greeted her at the door, his smile warm, his flannel swapped for a tailored jacket. You came, he said, his voice soft with relief. Of course, Naomi said, her eyes scanning the room. I wouldn't miss it. This place is incredible. Jordan led her to a wall labeled Resilience, and Naomi froze. The photographs were all of her. Candid, unposed moments. Her laughing at a cafe, her staring out a window, her sketching designs late at night. The final image stopped her heart, her walking away from the rehearsal, the black envelope in her hand, her silhouette fierce against the vineyard's lights. The caption read, "Strength in motion." She turned to Jordan, her voice barely a whisper. "You caught that moment?" He nodded, his eyes steady. "I couldn't not. It was you. The real you. Not the viral story, not the headlines. Just Naomi, choosing herself." Naomi's eyes stung, but she didn't cry. She studied the photos, each one a piece of her journey she hadn't seen herself. "Why me?" she asked, her voice raw. "You could have photographed anyone." Jordan hesitated, then said, "Because you've always been resilient. Even in college, when your dad passed, you kept going. I saw it then. I saw it at the rehearsal. I see it now." Naomi looked at him, the air between them charged with something unspoken. "You see too much," she said, half smiling. "Or just enough," he replied, his voice low. They stood there, the gallery noise fading, the moment theirs alone. Naomi didn't need to say more. For the first time, she felt home, not in a place, but in a person. Olivia, who'd tagged along, sidled up, her eyes wide. "Jordan, this is, wow. You made her look like a warrior." She nudged Naomi. "He's got it bad for you." Naomi rolled her eyes, but her cheeks warmed. "Shut up, Liv." Jordan laughed, unfazed. "She's not wrong." He didn't push, just handed her a glass of wine. "Enjoy the night, Naomi. You earned it." The news hit X like a storm. Tessa Morgan had quit her job at Holt Tech, moved to Portland, and deleted all her social media accounts. A mutual friend, Claire, texted Olivia the details. Tessa had a breakdown. Said she was being haunted online. "She's gone." Olivia relayed the news to Naomi over brunch at a sunlit cafe, her voice a mix of disbelief and satisfaction. "She's out, Naomi. Done." The internet ate her alive. Naomi stirred her tea, her expression calm but thoughtful. She'd seen the posts, screenshots of Tessa's old tweets, shady comments about taking what's hers. The backlash had been relentless, but Naomi felt no joy in it. "I hope she finds peace," she said, her voice steady. "Even villains are human." Olivia nearly choked on her mimosa. "Villains are human? Naomi, she kissed your fiancé in front of everyone. You're a better woman than me." Naomi's lips curved into a faint smile. "I'm not better. I'm free. That's the difference." Olivia leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Okay, but be real. You don't feel a tiny bit satisfied?" She's running, tail between her legs. Naomi set her cup down, her gaze distant. "I don't need her to lose for me to win. She made her choices, just like Grayson. They're living with them now." Olivia shook her head, grinning. "You're too damn evolved. But you're right, she's paying for it. X is calling her the co-worker who couldn't." Naomi's phone buzzed, a new email from Solara, confirming a second run of the Reclaim line. She smiled, her heart steady. Tessa's downfall wasn't her victory. Her victory was the life she was building, one choice at a time. Later, alone in her apartment, Naomi opened her journal and wrote, "Freedom isn't revenge. It's choosing yourself every day." She closed it, the weight of Tessa's exit fading. The world was watching, but Naomi was focused on what came next. Naomi stood in her Seattle apartment, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across her hardwood floor. Her desk was cluttered with sketches for the Reclaim line's next collection, but her attention was on a pale blue envelope in her hand, postmarked from Portland. The handwriting was elegant, unfamiliar. She slid it open, her heart steady but curious. The letter inside was from Grayson's mother, Evelyn Holt, and its words hit like a quiet storm. I raised him better. I failed you. I'm so sorry, Naomi. You deserved more than his betrayal. Naomi read it twice, her hazel eyes tracing the trembling script. Evelyn had always been kind, distant, but kind, welcoming Naomi at family dinners with warm hugs and homemade pie. The letter continued, I saw your strength, even when he didn't. You're building something beautiful. Don't let his mistakes dim your light. Naomi's throat tightened. She hadn't expected this, not from Evelyn, who'd stayed silent through the viral chaos. She called Olivia, who was at a yoga class but answered anyway, her voice breathless. Naomi, what's up? You sound weird. Naomi sat on her couch, the letter in her lap. Grayson's mom wrote to me. She apologized. Said she failed me. Olivia's gasp crackled through the phone. Wait, what? Evelyn? The woman who barely spoke at your engagement party? That's... Wow. What else did she say? Naomi read the letter aloud, her voice steady but soft. When she finished, Olivia was quiet for a moment, then said, That's big, Naomi. She's owning her son's mess. Most moms would defend their kid to the death. Naomi folded the letter, her fingers tracing its edges. She's not defending him. She's grieving him. The version of him she thought she raised. Olivia's tone softened. You gonna write back? Naomi nodded, though Olivia couldn't see. Yeah. Not to fix anything, just to close the loop. That night, Naomi sat at her desk, the city skyline twinkling beyond her window. She wrote a reply, short but heartfelt. Dear Evelyn, you didn't fail me. Grayson failed himself. Thank you for your words. They mean more than you know. I wish you peace. She sealed it, her heart lighter. The letter wasn't about Grayson. It was about two women acknowledging a shared loss and moving on. Olivia texted later, You're too damn classy. I'd have sent her a glitter bomb. Naomi laughed, typing back, Glitter's too messy. I'm keeping it clean. She mailed the letter the next morning, the act a quiet release, like exhaling a breath she'd held too long. Naomi's phone buzzed as she walked through Pike Place Market, the air sharp with the scent of fresh fish and blooming flowers. An email from a New York publisher glowed on her screen. We want to publish your story. The Reset Blueprint, part memoir, part guide for women reclaiming their lives. Name your terms. Her heart raced. She'd started the Reset Project as a blog, a safe space for women like her. Now it was becoming a book, a tangible legacy. She called Olivia, weaving through the market's crowd. Liv, I got a book deal offer. They want to call it the Reset Blueprint. I'm freaking out. Olivia's scream nearly shattered Naomi's eardrum. Are you kidding? Naomi, this is huge. You're gonna be on every bookshelf, inspiring women everywhere. What's the vibe, memoir, self-help, or full-on tell-all? Naomi laughed, dodging a street performer juggling apples. No tell-all. I want it to be real. Part my story, part a guide for women to rebuild after betrayal. No names, no drama, just truth. Olivia's voice turned serious. You're gonna kill this. But you know people will want the juicy details. Grayson, Tessa, the kiss. You sure you can keep it classy? Naomi paused by a flower stall, her eyes on a bouquet of peonies. I'm sure. The story isn't about them. It's about us, women who've been through it. I want it to feel like a conversation, not a spectacle. She met with the publisher via Zoom the next day, her apartment transformed into a makeshift office with her sketches pinned to a corkboard behind her. The editor, a sharp woman named Carla, leaned into the camera. Naomi, your blog post got 2 million reads. Your podcast episode trended for days. Women are hungry for your voice. What's your vision for this book? Naomi took a breath, her voice steady. It's for the woman who feels stuck, who thinks she's lost everything. I want to show her she's enough. That she can reset her life, not just survive it. Carla nodded, her eyes gleaming. That's it. That's the heart. Let's make it happen. The deal was signed within a week. Pre-orders launched, and the website crashed within hours. The cover was simple but striking. Naomi in her rehearsal dress, barefoot, standing on a vineyard path, her face calm, her eyes fierce. Critics called it the breakup book of the decade. Naomi saw it differently. It was her vow to herself, inked for the world to see. Olivia texted a screenshot of the crashed website. "You broke the internet again. Proud of you, Queen." Naomi smiled, her heart full. This wasn't about fame. It was about freedom. Naomi stood on a rooftop overlooking Seattle, the skyline glittering under a starlit sky. Jordan had invited her to a photo shoot for the Reclaim line, capturing her designs against the city's glow. She wore one of her rings, engraved with "Rise," its silver catching the light. Jordan adjusted his camera, his movements precise but relaxed, his dark eyes focused. "You're a natural," he said, his voice warm. "The camera loves you." Naomi laughed, brushing a curl from her face. "Or you're just good at making me look like I know what I'm doing." He lowered the camera, his smile softening. "You always know what you're doing, Naomi. Even when you don't think you do." The air shifted, charged with something unspoken. They'd been dancing around it for weeks. His quiet support, the note he'd given her at the cafe, the photographs at his exhibit. Naomi felt it, a pull she wasn't ready to name. After the shoot, they sat on the rooftop's edge, the city humming below. Jordan handed her a thermos of coffee, his fingers brushing hers. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice low, almost hesitant. Naomi's heart skipped, but she kept her tone light. "What, you're quitting photography to become a barista full-time?" He chuckled, then grew serious. "I've loved you since college, Naomi. Back when you were dating that idiot who forgot your birthday. I didn't say anything because you weren't ready for soft love then. You wanted fire, passion. But I see you now, and I think, maybe you're ready." Naomi's breath caught. She looked at him, his face open, unguarded. She'd always known Jordan was there. Steady, kind, the opposite of Grayson's flash. But hearing it, feeling it, was different. "Jordan," she started, her voice soft, "I don't know if I'm ready for anything. Not after everything." He nodded, no trace of disappointment. "I'm not asking you to be ready now. I just needed you to know. I'm here, whenever you are." They sat in silence, her head resting on his shoulder, the city's lights blurring below. It wasn't a kiss, wasn't a promise. Just a moment of peace, the kind she'd forgotten was possible. Olivia's text came later. "Saw you two on that rooftop. Bill. Is he the one?" Naomi typed back, "Maybe. But I'm the one I'm choosing first." Naomi sat in the back row of a small church, the air fragrant with lilies and candle wax. The bride, Sarah, was a member of the Reset Project's online community, a woman who'd emailed Naomi months ago, "Your story gave me the courage to leave my toxic ex. I'm getting married tomorrow. Please come." Naomi had hesitated, weddings were still raw, but Sarah's joy was infectious, and she couldn't say no. The ceremony was simple, intimate, nothing like the spectacle Naomi had planned with Grayson. Sarah walked down the aisle in a cream gown, her smile radiant, her new partner, a quiet man named Eli, beaming at her side. Naomi watched, her heart full but aching, memories of her own rehearsal flickering. She wore no makeup, her curls loose, her presence understated. She didn't want to be the viral icon here, just a friend. After the vows, Sarah found her, pulling her into a hug. "Naomi, you made this possible," she whispered, her eyes shining. "Your blog, your story, it showed me I could leave. I found real love because of you." Naomi's throat tightened. "You did this, Sarah. I just gave you a nudge." Sarah shook her head, her voice fierce. "No, you gave me a map. I was so scared, but you showed me it's never too late." Eli joined them, his hand gentle on Sarah's back. "She's right," he said, his voice warm. "Your story changed her life. And mine, indirectly." Naomi smiled, her eyes stinging. "I'm just glad you're happy. You deserve it. As the reception began, Naomi slipped outside, needing air. Olivia, who'd come as her +1, followed. You okay? She asked, her voice soft. Weddings are a lot for you right now. Naomi nodded, her eyes on the starry sky. I'm okay. This one feels right. It's what love should look like. Olivia squeezed her arm. You'll have that too, you know. When you're ready. Naomi's smile was small but genuine. I know. I'm getting there. Naomi stood before the full-length mirror in her apartment, the same one she'd faced the night of the rehearsal. She wore the ivory dress from that day, its fabric soft against her skin, her makeup subtle, her curls framing her face. The woman staring back wasn't the fiancé who'd walked toward Grayson, hoping for love. She was someone new, someone whole. She traced the dress's hem, memories flooding back, the vineyard, the kiss, the envelope. She'd expected to feel broken that night, but instead, she'd found strength. Now, in the quiet of her apartment, she saw it clearly. I never needed saving, she whispered to her reflection. I just needed to walk away. Olivia knocked, letting herself in. Naomi, you're wearing the dress? You okay? Naomi turned, her smile radiant. I'm more than okay. I wanted to see it again. Not as a memory, but as me. Olivia's eyes softened. You look like a warrior. Like you could conquer anything. Naomi laughed, smoothing the dress. Maybe I already have. Olivia sat on the couch, her voice teasing but warm. So, what's next? World domination? Another book? A date with Jordan? Naomi's cheeks warmed, but she didn't deflect. All of the above, maybe. But first, I'm keeping a promise to myself, to never lose me again. Olivia raised her wine glass. To Naomi Ellis, the woman who didn't just survive, she thrived. Naomi clinked her glass against Olivia's, her reflection steady in the mirror. To thriving, she said, her voice a vow. Naomi stood in a community center, surrounded by young women from the Reset Project's first mentorship program. The room was alive with energy, laughter, shared stories, dreams scribbled on note cards. Naomi had launched the program to guide women rebuilding after betrayal, offering workshops on self-worth, career skills, and healing. Today was their first meeting, and Naomi felt the weight of their trust, their hope. She stepped to the front, her navy dress simple but elegant, her presence commanding yet warm. I want to share something with you, she said, her voice clear. She opened her journal and read a vow she'd written the night before. I vow to never abandon myself for someone else's comfort. I vow to trust my gut, value my worth, and walk away when love looks like manipulation. I vow to love, deeply, freely, but never blindly again. The room was silent, then erupted in applause. A young woman, barely 20, raised her hand. How do you keep that vow? I'm trying, but it's hard. Naomi smiled, her eyes kind. It's hard because it's new. But every time you choose yourself, whether it's leaving a toxic job, a bad relationship, or even a negative thought, you're keeping that vow. It's not one moment. It's every moment. After the session, Olivia pulled her aside, her eyes shining. You just gave them a blueprint, Naomi. Not just for surviving, but for living. Naomi hugged her, her heart full. I gave myself one too. Later, alone in her apartment, Naomi closed her journal, the vow written in bold ink. She looked out at the Seattle skyline, the city alive with possibility. She smiled, not for the cameras, not for the world, but for herself. The rehearsal was over. Her life was just beginning. I'm glad you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story.